What is up, everybody? So welcome back for another kind of fireside chat Q&A. Jackie and I are in our underneath our porch, our patio area that we just kind of decorated, got some new furniture. I think you might have seen an episode where I was putting together my grill and totally not getting frustrated with it, totally acting like a normal, rational human being. So this is our chill zone. The lake is actually just a little bit over to the side. Our buddy Zach from Team Bluecollar came by yesterday, helped me put this furniture and this little fire pit together, which I would have running at the moment, but there's something wrong with the dial. I can get it running, but I can't keep it alive. So I will F with that later before I throw it in the water. But hi, hon, how are you?
I'm good.
A lot calmer than myself, huh?
Yeah, it's because we just trained. I'm all chill now. You take the stress out that way, so end of the day.
Yes. So we're going to fire off a quick Q&A for you guys. We got some questions from people that we want to run through. So let's start there. And, of course, I'm rocking my First Attachment hat, First Attachment shirt. I'm still amped up from WTF, pumped up, ready to go. Let's get this shit done. So, first question. How do you get in the best mindset for the gym when life is making noise around you? That's actually a pretty good one. So I'll start with this one. So I've had, when you talk about noise around you, so obviously you got your gym life and then you got your personal life, and hopefully in an ideal world those two don't bleed into each other. So whether that's an issue with a significant other, family member, job sucks at the time, or just life is just rough and tough and nothing's working out for you, how do I keep them separate? Well, I remember for myself that the gym is, my fitness journey is a totally separate purpose for me. That is my time to make myself feel better, to improve on my health, to improve on the sport I love, and it is a big tool for me to stay sober as a recovering alcoholic. So I have a reason why that is placed into my life. It's not something I just stumble across. So how do I keep them separate? What is it? How to keep getting the best mindset for the gym when life is making noise around you? It is recognize why you're there. So for me, I'm there to improve myself. I'm there to make my life better. So if I have stress, I'm going to blow it off in the gym. I'm going to get that angst and energy out, the negative out of my life, and use the gym as an outlet for my anger, my issues. If I have something on my mind, I'm going to leave it on the gym floor. So I turn it into motivation.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, you said it pretty perfect. But I mean, when I have a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, I mean, the gym is the time where it's my stress reliever. And to get me zoned in more, I mean, me being a girl, I like to put on something that makes me feel good. I look good in the gym, feel good in the gym, and I just put on my headphones and I totally zone out with my music and everything. And that keeps people away from me, around me. But yeah, I mean, that's, you said it best. I mean, that's the place where you get it all out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so if you're having issues with noise in life yourself, I would just recognize that you do have that opportunity to take that hour to forget about your issues and forget about whatever is bothering you and just focus on yourself. I know it's tough, but that is going to help you. And once you get that skill of using the gym as my time and not letting your other parts of your life bleed into the gym, it'll become a useful tool for you, is my opinion. So next question. What's your take on spotting versus doing the sets yourself?
What's the difference?
What's your take on it? Is it necessary to have someone spot you? When is it a right time? When's it not, I guess, is what they're asking.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, when it comes to getting spotted, I mean, obviously, if you're going to be going for a top set, especially if you've never tried that top set before, then yeah, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
And if you don't have somebody around, make sure you have the safeties on depending on what lift it is you're doing, but always lift safe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, if you're going for a PR, then that's definitely the time when you want to get spotted. But also, if you're feeling more fatigued and you're still trying to push yourself, even if it's not your best top set, but you'd rather be safe than sorry, so that's when you want to ask for a spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's perfect. The reality is someone spotting you is there for safety. That's really the only reason that I'm going to spot you on a squat or a bench press or something like that. So if you're concerned that you can't do the task that you're laying out to do, like a heavier lift that you've never tried before, like Jackie says, that's a perfect time for spotting. Or if you're fatigued and you're not too sure if you're going to be able to, like in a prep scenario, you start losing a little bit of energy, losing a little bit of maybe not strength, but just your output would be a good time to have a spotter involved.
You're not going to be strong every single day.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So be wise. Use it as a safety tool. That's what I'd say about that. But I don't think you need someone to spot you to do curls. There's times where you might not need it on a dumbbell press where you can just drop the weights to your side. So there's appropriate times, but it's there for safety. So use it for its purpose. What do you think? How about this one? How often should you rest between sets?
Well, I guess it depends what phase you're in. So if you're in a growing scenario, that's when you can take longer rests in between. So, like 1 or 2 minutes, I'd say. If you're leaning out, that's when you want to push more. That's when you want to keep things moving along faster. So maybe like 30-second rest in between sets, especially if you're supersetting. So superset and then maybe take a 1 or 2 minute break.
Yeah. I think that rest periods are different for different scenarios, like you say. The whole point of a rest in between sets is so that way you can gain the energy again to give 100% output on that next set. So if you're rushing things where, let's say you do a dumbbell press with the hundreds and you do 15 reps. Well, if you know from experience that you can do 14, 13 reps coming up on that next set, if you're not giving yourself enough rest time to optimize, and of course the AC kicks on while we're down here, so bear with us, but what was I saying? If you need to give enough time so you can get the most out of your next set. The only time you might want to rush that scenario a little bit is if you, again, like Jackie says, trying to burn more energy. You might be trying to keep your cardiovascular output up by having slower less rest periods between sets. And that should get your heart rate up a little bit. You might not be as strong, but you might burn through a little more energy, or if you just need to save time. But in a grow scenario, I would be myself trying to give as much rest as possible, so that way I'm as fresh as I can be for the next set, to give maximal output, to give the maximal output for that next set, so I can achieve my goal of growing muscle by tearing it down and rebuilding it stronger. So something you're going to have to play with yourself. My rest periods are probably going to be different from yours. They're definitely different from Jackie's. They're different from size of person, and then the exercise you're choosing. A squat might be 2 to 3 minutes between sets, where something like leg extensions might be 60 seconds, get back into the next set. But experiment. If you're not getting optimal set after set, you're probably not resting enough, is my opinion. One I had, but it's not in this here, is somebody had asked me on Messenger about what is the best compound for a first timer. So I'm going to assume that question means that you have already decided you're going to use performance enhancing drugs and there's no steering you in any other direction. Not to say that there's anything wrong with performance enhancing drugs, but I think there's a time and place and age where you're ready to use them. But if it's your first time and you're wondering what you should use, I would stick to stick with things your body's familiar with, bioidentical compounds. So testosterone is something that your body already makes and uses. Growth hormones are things that your body makes and uses. Insulin, it's things your body is used to, that it already has a bioidentical familiarity to it. So me personally, when I have clients and it comes time where they're going to start implementing some performance enhancing drugs into their protocols, we're almost always going to start with testosterone, and we're going to start there. We're going to make gains with testosterone, and then we're going to identify how they react negatively. Side effects, estrogen, water retention, sleep patterns, possibly aggression or mental issue that might come about it. And we just get as much as we can out of the lowest dose and definitely alleviate any side effects. If you have side effects with any dosage and it's not something you can manage, your dose is too high. If 1,000 milligrams of testosterone makes me have gyno and I can't mitigate that with a aromatase inhibitor, then my dose is just too high. I'm not tolerant to that quite yet. So personally, what compound? I would start with bioidentical compounds like testosterone, get the most out of that, learn to manage side effects, and then move on to maybe like growth hormone and insulin as other possible things before you start adding like 19-NORs or DHT derivative drugs. I think, again, there's a time and place for each compound, but I would start there. Start with test. Test is best. Get the most out of it. You'd be surprised how much progress you can make on lower doses than you read in the forums.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
I was just going to say, just make sure that you educate yourself. You know, just because Dave here is saying something like this, it doesn't mean that you go out and do it. Make sure you educate yourself on it. And if you're just still up in the air and confused, then that's when you reach out to someone like a coach to help guide you when it comes to PEDs.
Yeah, and be aware of what's coming your way. Side effects are going to happen, they're inevitable, so you have to be able to identify them. If you're ignorant to what those side effects are, you're not ready. If you don't know what estrogen side effects are going to come your way, you're not ready. If you're not prepared for water retention, if you're not prepared for gyno, you're probably not educated enough to even be dicking around with compounds, in my opinion. So be wise. If your diet's not in line, you have no place being on compounds.
At all.
Yeah. If your training's not optimal, you haven't optimized your potential yet. So get those things in line. Start with the basics. And be wise. You got a long life ahead of you. You don't want to take lifting years away from yourself by abusing drugs. Just as simple as that. And hire a coach. We talked about this last Q&A. If you're new to these things, hire a coach. Pay to be educated rather than pay with your health down the road. This is a good one for you. What do you think are the most impactful exercises in the gym?
I have to think about that for a minute.
I think it's goal orientated. I think if you're looking for
absolutely.
strength, you're going to be choosing different compound movements first and sticking with the basics. If you're trying to bring up a lagging body part, then you're going to target that body part with specific exercises. But I'd say pound for pound, what do you get the most muscular gains out of? And maybe strength as well. What are the most impactful? I would say, honestly, as much as it pains to say me, it's the 3 big lifts. It's your squat, your bench, and your deadlift.
Which we don't do.
Right.
So if I were to say personally for myself, for me, the pendulum is a huge one. I find that super beneficial because you're getting the full range of motion and all that full stretch in the quads, and then you get a really good eccentric on that as well. So you get a good negative on it. I'm trying to think of another really good one.
Yeah, I mean, impactful, if we're not going to take health into consideration, like the wear and tear of your back, a squat is great. But it doesn't have to be with the barbell. It can be a squat pattern with a hack machine. It can be a squat pattern with the pendulum, which Jackie likes, or a belt squat. Those things that you can not load the spine, but still cover. You have the ability to train all aspects of your legs and full range of motion. That's an impactful movement. I'd say, honestly, for like upper body movements, big rowing motions would be great instead of the deadlift.
T-bar row.
T-bar row, bent over, barbell rows, two-handed, chest-assisted two-handed dumbbell rows are excellent. You want to keep safety in mind first. So anything you can do to not put your lower back in a comparable position, your knees into a wear and tear scenario. But if I had to pick one thing, I'd actually say belt squat and pendulum for lower body. Yeah. And I'd say a T-bar row and a really good, honest, just like plate-loaded chest press would be pretty much my options.
Sure.
Arms, you can do pull-ups with, there's a whole lot of other impactful ones.
I think pull-ups are awesome.
Yeah, but if you find a bread and butter for your lower body, like a pendulum squat, stick with that. learn how to use your hamstrings, how to use your glutes, how to target the quads, all with one machine. That'd be the way to go.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got a couple quick ones. What can you do when you have an injury and you're supposed to be working out? That's pretty easy in my opinion.
I know, you're avoiding the injury, you're working around the injury. I can't tell you how many times we have dealt with this all the time, because it doesn't matter. You can be a smart lifter and things still happen all the time, whether if it's outside the gym or in the gym, just by not even being hydrated properly and pulling a muscle. So yeah, when you're injured, you have to work around it. You have to take your rest days. You know, the gym is always going to be there. Your health, it isn't if you're not going to take care of it properly. So make sure you get that good rest, skip the gym, eat properly to stay on track, and then get back to the gym when you're feeling better. But then, ease into things. So
yeah, I think Jackie hit it. If you can't work around something wisely, then your best case scenario if you're injured is to stay out of the gym. If you're supposed to be in the gym training but you're injured, your number one goal now becomes recovery, and it becomes fixing that injury. So give you an example. There's a way to work around things. So if I injured my shoulder, I'm pretty sure I can still go in and train my hamstrings, my quads. I can probably do some core movements and just eliminate the shoulders, and just let them recover. Don't touch them any bit. Don't try to do some chest press that comes into injuring your shoulder, re-injuring the shoulder. Yeah. Just stay away. The quicker you recover, the quicker you can be back in the gym. Yeah. Sometimes the best medicine is stay out of the gym and get your rest.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, like for me, for example, I had an issue with my hip. And so I had to manipulate my leg workouts where I had to do more individual leg exercises instead of them together. You really just have to feel things out to see exactly how it feels. And if it doesn't feel right, then that's when you tell yourself, okay, yep, I'm not doing that today. So just continue working around the injury.
One last question somebody had, this will be our last one, is what's the most important thing, training, drugs, or diet? Now, we laugh because to us those seem like an easy answer, but I'll let you start off with that one. What's the most important?
Most important is diet. Yeah. Second will be training and cardio. And third is always the PEDs. Yeah. So in that order, always. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can have all of this. So I like the way Justin Harris always explained the building muscle, the whole bodybuilding as a whole. Everything has its place. So you can look at food as the building blocks that you need to have to actually build muscle. Food, protein, carbs, those are your building blocks. Training is your blueprint of building this home. So you have the actual raw materials, and then you have the training, which is your blueprint. The PEDs are just skilled workers. So the more skilled workers you have, the faster you can get this scenario covered. But these skilled workers, the PEDs, the drugs, they become worthless without bricks, without 2x4s, without the actual food. So you can't build a house with no materials but all the skilled workers in the world. But a monkey with enough time will figure out how to build a doghouse, if that makes any sense. So you have to have food in place. Without that, there's no ingredients to build a muscle. And then if you don't have the stimulus to build a muscle, which is your training, then again, that food just sits there. It collects, it builds up, and then eventually you're fat because there's too much material around. The skilled workers is just what pulls everything together. The more skilled they are, the better. The more strategic you are with those skilled workers, maybe the faster you can build this house. But they're obviously the least important part. You could leave a monkey with those 2x4s and a hammer. He's going to get you something over a long enough timeline, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so start with the basics.
Yeah, so 1 and 2. Stick with 1 and 2 because people think that PEDs are going to make you shredded or are going to get you muscular.
Diet.
That's totally false. So it's literally all diet and the work that you put into it. Mm-hmm. Those the PEDs, in my opinion, it's more for advanced people when it comes to physiques and all of that. So oh crap, I just stumbled on.
No,
what
I
was
think
gonna
I think
say.
I think you nailed it. You know, you get a lot done. 90% of your progress is going to come from your diet and training. It's just the cherry on the top can be your PEDs, but it can also be what ruins everything for you. Give you an example from prep. From prep now to my off season, I haven't changed my PEDs. There's been really no difference. It's still testosterone, primobolan, and growth hormone. Basically, that's it. But the thing that did change, where I went from gaining muscle and gaining weight and becoming bigger and a little bit less defined, into where I'm getting shredded and very quickly moving stage ready, the thing that did change during that timeline was my diet, and that was about it.
And
a little bit of
cardio.
cardio.
Yep.
Yep, we upped a touch of cardio. So I could have changed all the drugs I wanted, and without changing the diet, nothing would have happened.
Yeah. So if you're eating like shit, and you're gonna take PEDs, and
You're gonna look like shit.
Yeah, you're gonna look like shit. Don't expect that you're gonna transform yourself, because you're not.
Yeah. And if you're not tracking your diet, it's silly. That's like having a checkbook and not registering your checkbook. You're going to bounce a check eventually if you don't know what's in there. If you diet without keeping track of things, how do you know if you're eating enough? How do you know if you're not eating the proper amount? I mean, you have nothing to go off of.
Yeah.
So just be wise. Use common sense first. A lot of these questions come back to common sense, and they're not the sexy answers. Telling you to be mindful of the kitchen and what you're doing in your diet is not as fun as saying, hey, go take a gram of Primo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that sounds
it's
fun.
true.
That sounds sexy to the young kid. They go, that's what's missing. But no, what's missing is that you eat a buffalo chicken wrap every lunch when you should be hammering the correct foods every few hours.
Yes. Changing your physique takes time. It's not
And
going to
patience.
happen in a month or two. I mean, I have 6.5 years under my belt to where I am today.
No.
You know, and there's people out there that have 10 years under them, and they're still trying to, achieve their pro card and stuff like it. All this stuff takes time.
No.
Can't rush it.
No. But that's it for questions. I hope that gave you some sort of insight. But if you have any other concerns or questions, message us on Instagram, Mr._Mrs. Bluecollar Bodybuilding.
Or comment in,
below.
our YouTube.
Yep, comment below on the YouTube, or just reach out to us directly. We can help you with coaching. You can sign up for a consultation to get these questions answered specifically for you, instead of being very vague. We can help you set up that diet that's the missing key. Just reach out. We can help you figure it out, or we'll be glad to steer you in the right direction to find that information. But like, subscribe, and soon we'll have hopefully a video coming out with Jackie going to tell you about her whole experience of becoming a Miss Professional Bodybuilder now.
Yep, the first video that will be coming out soon is my peak week, and then the second video after that's going to be the show day.
Well, peak week will already be out by the time that you're watching this.
Oh.
But nonetheless, Jackie's probably going to give you a little bit of a talk into this whole process and how it really feels, since it's finally settled in after a few weeks. But
Yep.
we love you guys. Be good. Grip it and rip it.
Yep.
Until the next one.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for the support.